The war against Daesh is going to continue. We are determined to achieve the objectives of this war. And not only to degrade Daesh capabilities, we are going to destroy Daesh. And that is the aim. The crosshair of our weapons is at that target, and definitely we are going to achieve it.
For those who don't know, Daesh refers to ISIS. It's a kind of a derogatory term that's used in the Middle East to refer to the ISIS movement. And it's gaining currency, I'll point out. But that was the Jordanian Air Force commander talking about his efforts on behalf of the country to attack ISIS. J.D. Gordon joins us, Executive Director of Protect America Today. Because, J.D., we're finding out that we're in day 3 of Jordanian step-up of strikes, and we're counting in the order of 56 strikes in that time period. Jordan seems to be coming to the war.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show to talk about it. Yeah, it's very encouraging that Jordan is stepping up the war against Daesh, against the Islamic State, whatever they want to call it, because really, of the 2,000 airstrikes since August that the U.S.-led coalition has waged, the U.S. has dropped about 80% of those bombs. So we've done about 80% of them. In Syria, it's over 90%. So it's about time that countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and UAE step it up a little bit.
Yeah, and UAE had stopped missions ever since that Jordanian pilot got shot down, and they too are going to be stepping it up. But in the past, has the United States been supportful enough of the Jordanian, war machine?
You know, I'm glad you asked me that question, because the answer is no. There was an issue with Predator drones last year. Jordan wanted them, and the U.S. State Department denied them the export license. They said, no, Jordan's not a strong enough ally. But if you peel it back a layer, if you dig a little deeper, why is that? Well, the reason is because the Muslim Brotherhood has been stirring a lot of unrest in Jordan. They're trying to get their leaders out of jail. They've been boycotting elections, putting a lot of pressure on King Abdullah. Well, the Muslim Brotherhood is also really strong in Washington. They've got a really solid lobby here. So if you add 1 and 1, that's 2. So there's a reason why the White House has not considered Jordan a strong enough ally. That's shameful, and they ought to give them those Predator drones and support them the best we can.
Wait a second. So the Muslim Brotherhood, the same Muslim Brotherhood that was such a problem in Egypt, has been lobbying on behalf of the Jordanians in Washington?
Lobbying against the Jordanians in Washington.
Yeah.
Because the Jordanians have cracked down on the Muslim Brotherhood. Exactly right. So the White House did not give Jordan those Predator drones last year because the Muslim Brotherhood said, no, wait, we want to get our leaders out of jail. We want King Abdullah to have more reforms. They actually want to topple King Abdullah. So yeah, the Muslim Brotherhood's been lobbying in Washington against Jordan.
Wow, that's a development I didn't know about. What about the Jordanian military itself? Is it any good?
It is good. You know, they've got over 100,000 people in the military. They've got F-16s, well over 1,000 tanks. They've got really good special forces. And most of all, they've got a really good intelligence network. So Jordan, of all the countries, will know the most about what's going on in Syria and Iraq right next door.
Yeah, that would be key to get them on side with this whole effort. Why have they been playing such a low-key role, though? Is it, as you're describing, that the Muslim Brotherhood was having a bigger presence in Jordan and they needed a good reason to go forward?
Yeah, you know, that's a great point. In the Arab Spring, you have all these Muslim Brotherhood Islamist groups that are trying to topple U.S. allies. Well, the Muslim Brotherhood tried the same in Jordan. Now, they weren't nearly as successful, obviously, in places where the Muslim Brotherhood was able to prevail, like in Egypt and Islamists in Libya and Yemen. But there is a worry in places like Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE. If they go too far, they can get toppled by the Islamists. So that's why they're kind of walking a tightrope, too.
Yeah, how many, now here in Canada, you know, we talk about boots on the ground and being advisors and so on. And the administration in the United States has said that there wouldn't be boots on the ground. How many American forces are there advising and helping out actually on the ground, do you think?
Right now in Iraq, it's about 4,500. Now, you remember when President Obama first announced this mission last summer, he was talking about a few hundred. So that's already gone to 4,500. And I agree. I think it has to grow even more because even though we're making progress against the Islamic State, it's not enough. Canada's got advisors there now, too. And, you know, there was a lot of publicity in Canada, of course, when they came under fire from the Islamic State. But just because you go to train, advise, and assist doesn't mean they're actually combat troops, but they have to be there to help the Iraqi military, Kurdish Peshmerga, so we can advise them and give them enough weapons so those guys could be the ground troops.
Okay, except, JD, we've said all along that we need ground troops, and we'd like to have local ground troops, if you will. The Iraqis are not getting the job done. What about getting the Kurdish fighters on side?
Well, the Kurdish fighters have been doing a good job. They've been the best force to inflict casualties on the Islamic State on the ground, but they're not getting enough weapons. And one of their log jams is that the U.S., by law, has to go through the central government in Iraq. And the central government in Iraq has been reluctant to give them a lot of the heavy weapons they need. They give them only a small portion because the Iraqi government doesn't want the Kurds to be too powerful, because when the Islamic State's wiped out, the Iraqi government doesn't want the Kurds to have their own country.
Yeah. So, okay, I get that. It's a difficult situation. JD, thank you so much for explaining it.
It is.